Ruck. Okay, well, kind of stayed the course with what our preparation has been Monday through Thursday so far. I think our guys are really understanding the different tempos and the different sense of focus that we need. Starting on Monday, reviewing the film. Tuesday and Wednesday being really, tough physical work days, and Thursday being a real crisp, clean, making sure we're attentive to the details of the game plan. Just focused and sharp practice. And so now the routine's underway to get ourselves prepared to play Saturday night, and I'm looking forward to our guys going out and performing.
So Damian Mama and Said Ware kind of banged their knees a little bit yesterday. Are both of those guys going to be able to play?
Yes.
Yeah.
You had mentioned that there were a few freshmen who were still kind of making up their mind about whether you would play in this year. Any new people that we should expect from the freshman class that can play?
Not yet. We're going to go meet as a staff and probably make that decision now. There's one for sure and maybe a second. And I don't want to comment on that until we know for sure exactly what we're doing.
What did you see from Porter Gustin in the opener, and how can he make an impact
Well,
this season?
Porter's a physical player. We see that in his ability to rush the passer, defend the run, set an edge. What I think we're going to see a real drastic improvement from Porter from week 1 to week 2, and just letting it go and really playing his style of play. I talked a little bit about Marvell about that in week 1 as well. I think we're going to see that from him too, that certain guys, just the transition takes a hair longer, and I think Porter, we're going to see more of a, I don't want to say just playing with reckless abandon, but a guy who's really just going to let it loose and let it rip, and I think we're going to see that out of Porter more this week.
So Toa Lobendahn's versatility obviously has been beneficial for you guys, but is it going to help him, do you think, to focus more on one position at this point?
Well, I think you can help him, sure. Toa is a guy who we found out very early in his career when he graduated high school early and had him last spring. He's got a really high football IQ. He's a son of a coach. He gets the game. He's got really good technique and fundamentals. And so it's easy when you have guys like that to want to have them ready everywhere, because they're kind of the tape that can stop a leaky hole or something. But the reality of it is, we think Toa has a chance to be a very special player. We'd like to be able to just keep him at that guard position and let him get good this year. But if we get put in a pinch, we know we've got a player that can go there and be more than adequate at numerous positions, not just one.
For kind of a young team, is it a good thing maybe to have a game like this where the total focus seems to be on you guys, focusing on yourself?
I think it helps. Naturally, the old saying is that the best improvements you make are from week 1 to week 2, right? That's the old adage in college football. And we played obviously a lot of young people last week. As we've said numerous times, 13 true freshmen, 23 guys making their debuts last week. So there was a lot of things individually for guys to work on to get themselves prepared for week 2. Hopefully one of the things I'm able to say Saturday night after the ball game and then Sunday night in our conference call is that, man, I can point out specific things where guys got better individually, which ultimately should make us better collectively as a team.
Is this, you only played one game, but is it playing out the way you envisioned with this class in terms of being able to develop quality depth?
I think so, Gary. I think we're not only seeing it on offense and defense, I think we're seeing it on special teams as well. I think there's a real intent on special teams to be great at it and not just be satisfied with being good. And what has come out of it is we've got a great deal of competition going on special teams. Guys want to earn their way on the field, and they're understanding special teams is another way to do that. So I think that there's really good preparation there. I think also offensively and defensively, the guys are understanding when I get my opportunities, I want to make sure I'm prepared and I want to make the most of them. And we're seeing that, and guys coming out here with an intent to get better, knowing that it matters out here if you want to play on Saturdays over there at the Coliseum. And so it's playing out really well. I think there's healthy competition at every position, but also not that it's just all competitive. I think guys really like to see each other perform well. I think there's an attitude, there's a team first mentality that we've developed, and there's accountability to one another that is really starting to take shape.
When you stand up in front of that team in your team room and you look out at the group compared to last year, is it different? Does it look different to you?
Well, there's the same number of bodies, technically. I just think that we've got a group that, again, I go back to January all the way through to this point, that has really bought into the team first mentality, and it's something felt like we needed a shift culturally from the day I got here. And it takes time. That's not a light switch. It just doesn't happen overnight. It takes time to develop that. But we saw it in the classroom, guys being accountable to one another. We've back-to-back semesters with our highest team GPAs. The guys are doing it for everybody, not just for themselves. You need to have that self-motivation, but you also want to understand why you're doing it and doing it for the greater good of the team. And I think, like I said, that's going to pay dividends not only this fall, but I think moving forward as a program.
Talk about that competition on special teams, and you see it on the coverage guys and all that kind of stuff. What about the actual kickers? Where's that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm continuing that. That's an ongoing process. We're not perfect right now in the kicking game. There's other aspects of our game that aren't perfect either. That one just happens to be a little bit more glaring because you notice the kicker, you follow the ball. Majority of people follow the ball. So we need to improve. Again, just like every other position, I'm hopeful that we see great improvement from week 1 to week 2 in that aspect of our game.
Your team got off to a bit of a slow start last week, so how do you plan on going about getting off to a quicker start as your schedule gets harder?
I plan on scoring on the first drive of the game again, like we did last week, and I plan on getting off the field on defense and starting the game.
Had Jaylen Greene kicked into the receiver position maybe a little quicker or better than you thought from the quarterback?
It's been very impressive. I will give Jaylen a lot of credit. He worked at it this summer, as they were doing the player run practices. Jaylen, again, coming from the quarterback position, his football IQ is really high. What I've been impressed with is just his sheer physicality. He's a really good athlete. He's natural at it. But if you watch him, he even in scrimmages, he breaks a lot of tackles, which you wouldn't think a guy for the first time doing it. He does. He breaks tackles. He blocks really well on the perimeter. And then what he gives us is a safety net of he literally can play every wideout position. He can play in the slot. He can play on the right. He can play on the left. And he's comfortable doing it. It doesn't look too big for him. So I've been impressed with Jaylen. He's a really good asset for us this fall at that position for us. And I think in the long run, as we get through this season and into next spring, there's going to be a decision to be made. Do you want to stay there? Do you want to come back and give quarterback another shot? But I think being out there is going to help him become a better quarterback too. So there's give and take both ways there. But I'm glad we made the move. I'm glad he wanted to make the move because he's really helping us right now.
Do you think there might be something that you put in every game for Jaylen just to make people down the road think, what if? I mean, is that something you just play around with?
I think so. Obviously, we gave him a pass last week, and he got his first career completion to Dominic Davis. Like I said, he's a really versatile guy. He's a more than adequate runner. So there's wrinkles that I think we can have. Again, that was his first game playing that position too. So we've got a lot of things to cover. We got a lot of guys we want to get the ball to, and Jaylen is one of those guys. He's a weapon for us.